it didn't last a day, I promise.
It always just flies by.
No, when I spent about 4 straight hours in the day reading a book I didn't really want to read, I did that. Not 5 hours.
So let me ask you a question. How long did you procrastinate so that you had that much reading to do?
I gave myself the whole day on Sunday. I just really didn't want to do it.
How long have you had this book?
Yeah.
Since the beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah.
No, I got it actually. I got it
getting
last
sympathy
week. That's
from
the
me.
difference. I got it last week because I had to finish another 500-page novel to do.
I love to read.
I do
If it's
too,
something
but
I
the thing
like.
is, during any other time I have something to do, if I'm not in a quiet room, locked by myself with no other distractions, when I'm in my own room or my own house, there's so many other distractions for me to go and mess with.
See, I can't read because then I neglect my children and just sit and read all day. And they're like, Mom, can we have lunch? Yeah, go make something. I'm reading. Yes, I can't put it down. That's why I am. Once I start, I'm not putting it down. I'm gonna sit and read it. Okay, let's go through these. Number 1, order doesn't matter, but you have to have all the terms. 6x cubed minus 5x squared y plus 6xy squared plus 8y cubed. Number 2, x plus 3 over x squared. Number 3, 2x squared plus 19x plus 1 over x plus 4, x minus 4, or you could say x squared minus 16. Number 4, 3 times x minus 3, or you could have 3x minus 9, over x minus 1, x minus 4. Number 5, 16z squared over x squared y to the 16z to the 12th over x to the 20th y to the 12th. Number 6, 6x to the 4th y cubed z squared times the square root of 2xy. 7, 24x times the square root of 7x. 8, 18x squared minus 48x plus 31. Number 9, negative infinity to positive infinity. 10 is 31. 11, 1/3 plus and minus I radical 5 over 3. 12, 14/3 and negative 4/3. 13, 11/5 and positive 1/5. 14 is 25. 15, 5/4 plus and minus I radical 23 over 4. And 16 is negative 43 over 4. Yes, ma'am.
On like 11 and 15, do you care if we put like the bottom number over it all? Or would you like it broken up?
Technically, if it has an I, you're supposed to break it up. That's just the standard form. So, that's like a half point mistake. And it's only if it has the I that it really matters.
Okay. And where does the I go on those? Does it go under the second?
You can either put it, it's on the second term. You can either put it in front of the radical or behind the radical. Okay. Just make sure it's not underneath it. Okay. So, what do we want to talk about?
The first one.
Number 1.
I think we might have just silly mistake.
We didn't put 5.
Yeah, I didn't put 5.
I didn't have the 6.
Mine was 6. I mean, this was like so easy.
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
I have what you had.
Okay.
I have what you had in my 5.
So if we distribute, we get 6x cubed minus 9x squared y plus 12xy squared. Now if we take the 2y through, that gives us a 4x squared y minus 6xy squared plus 8y cubed. we look for like terms. I don't have any other x to the thirds. Negative 9x squared y and 4x squared y is negative 5x squared y. We have a 12xy squared and a negative 6xy squared, so that's a positive 6. And then we have our 8y cubed. Yeah.
On number 4, on the bottom part, you don't want us to like FOIL that out to get like the
You
quadratic.
can, but you do not
So we
have
don't
to.
have to.
Yeah,
Okay.
either way is fine. What else do you want me to work out? 6 and 7, okay. Alright, so number 6, we're breaking down this square root. So I need a perfect square that goes into 72. So what could we use? 36 and 2. So square root of 36 is 6, so a 6 comes out and the 2 stays underneath. Now if you have 9 x's, how many groups of 2 can we form? 4, so an x of 4 comes out. How many are left over? 1 left over.
That's where I was lost. I was like, how is that? That's where I was confused. Okay.
So if you have 7 y's, how many groups of 2 can you make? 3. How many are left over?
1.
If you have 4 z's, how many groups of 2?
2.
Any left over?
No.
So that's our final answer.
I was thinking perfect squares and I was like, 9, 3.
Yeah, easy to do right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 7 is another square root problem. In order to add or subtract with radicals, we have to have the same thing underneath the radical. So we're going to start by breaking each of these down. 1/12, what could I break that into?
1 or 16.
Okay. And the square root of 16 is 4, so a 4 comes out. I can't do the square root of 7, so it stays underneath. Can I pull out this x? No, it's only 1 because it's a square root. I need 2 before I can take it out. Okay, over here. I have my 4. How can I break up 175?
7 and 7. 25.
Square root of 25 is 5. What do I do with the 4 already out here?
You have to multiply.
So 5 times 4 would give me a 20. Square root of 7. If I have 3 x's, how many groups of 2 can I form? So 1 comes out. Any left over?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, my radicals match. That means you can add their coefficients. So if I take 4x plus 20x, we get
24x.
and that's our final answer. What else? Nobody missed anything else? Number 12. Okay. So if I'm looking at this one, we have to solve for x. We have 2 options. We could start by multiplying all this out, or what could I do to get rid of that square? And if you had a square root, what else do you need? So that gives me a 3x minus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of 81 is 9. So really, if it helps you, make two equations. Either 3x minus 5 equals positive 9, or 3x minus 5 equals negative 9. Then we can solve each of those. If you add over your 5, and divide by 3. And so then we get 14/3 and negative 4/3. What else do we need to look at? Number 4. Okay. In order to divide fractions, or how do we go about dividing fractions?
You want to break each one down, so you can like cross out some to make it easier.
Right. We don't want to have our problem be more complicated than it needs to be. So we're going to factor and see what cancels out. The other thing, how do I rewrite my division? Instead of divided, what do we change it to?
Multiplication.
Right. Anytime you want to divide fractions, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. What that means is the first one stays the same. You change it to a times, and you flip the second one. So then we can go through and factor each piece. So x squared minus x minus 6. What multiplies to negative 6 and adds to negative 1? Okay, x squared minus 1. How would that factor? 3x plus 3.
You could pull out the 3.
That'll leave us with an x plus 1. And on the bottom, multiply to negative 8, add to negative 2.
X minus 4, x plus 2.
Okay. Then anything that's on the top and bottom can cancel out. So the x plus 2's can cancel. The x plus 1's can cancel. So on the top, if you multiply across, you have an x minus 3 times 3. On the bottom, you have an x minus 1 times an x minus 4. And you certainly can go ahead and distribute those, but you do not have to. You can leave it in factored form.
Would you distribute this 3 or leave it?
I would leave it, but it doesn't matter. So you could tell me 3x minus 9 over x squared minus 5x plus 4.
If you distribute the top, you need to distribute the bottom, right? Or does it not really?
It really doesn't matter. Unless I specifically said in the problem, then I wouldn't care. What else?
14.
Okay. Alright, this one looks a little ugly because of the fractions, but really it's just a linear equation. We're just solving for x. So we have to start with distributing. So we get a 2/7 x minus 8/7, and everything else stays the same. At this point, we really have two options. We can either keep the fraction and just deal with it because it's all linear. You can use the calculator. If the fractions really stressed you out, what could you multiply by that would cancel all the fractions? Let's see, it has to cancel both a 7 and a 5, so if you took everything times 35, that would cancel it. Do you guys just want to deal with fractions?
That's what I did.
Okay. So, combine like terms. This is a 2/7 and a negative 1. So if you really hung up, you can grab your calculator. 2/7 minus 1, that's negative 5/7. Okay, I need all of my x's on one side, so I have to add over my 3/5 x. So negative 5/7 plus 3/5 would be negative 4/35.
Yep.
I need this on the other side, so I'm going to add over my 8/7. And that would be a negative 20/7. Then either divide by negative 4/35, or that just means multiply by the reciprocal. So I get x equals 25. Yes, ma'am. Number 8. Okay. So we want f composed with g. That's f of g of x. So you start on the inside. G of x is negative 3x plus 4. You are putting that into f. So that means you go to f. Every time you see an x, you replace it with this. Okay, how do I square that? Yeah, it really means there's 2 of them. So that would give me a 9x squared minus 12, and minus 12 is negative 24x plus 16. Distribute your 2. And then combine like terms. Positive 32 and a negative 1 gives me 31. Anything else? Okay, so problem 9 is asking you to find the domain of this composition. For the domain, you have to look 2 places. You have to look at your final answer and the first thing you plugged in. We have to take those 2 domains and combine them. When we're worried about domain, we have to think about 2 things. If we have a fraction, the bottom can't be 0. If we have a square root, the thing underneath has to be positive. Do we have a fraction or a square root here? Do we have one here? So both of those you can plug anything into. So that means our final answer we can plug anything into. So your domain is just negative infinity to positive infinity because there's no fractions and no radicals. Number 10 just says find f of negative 4. So that means you go to f and you plug in a negative 4 for the x. So order of operations, negative 4 squared would be a positive 16, times 2 is 32, minus 1 is 31. Are we good on the first 16? So, for tomorrow, I would like if you could do 17 through 29, like the next 13 problems. You've got the rest of class to work on that, help one another. Let me know if you have questions. I'm certainly happy to answer them. Hope, do you need to see this and check yours? And then give it to Rose.
I did 17 and I got an answer loud and Friday. I was just throwing numbers out.
Well, I was